Chip is absolutely a visionary that believes in the power of science and scientific inquiry to both ask and answer questions and develop the best strategies to improve health.
He's a kind, sensitive individual and has a great deal of empathy.
Chip is a person that is always going to tell you exactly what he thinks. I consider him to be a maverick, somebody who thinks outside the box, and somebody who's not afraid of controversy. In fact, he takes it head on all the time.
In the early years of HIV, we decided to put together a clinical trials network. And Chip was one of the real early pioneers in the development of these clinical trial networks, and also, in the study of HIV as a separate discipline.
A lot of what we did early on was just tried to preserve life as long as we could with as high quality as we could by treating the infections. The disease really changed, though, when we began to be able to treat the underlying disease with antiviral drugs. And proceeding all the way to today has revolutionized that disease and made it one that in which people have a life expectancy not that different from the general population.
One of the key goals that Dr. Schooley brought to UC San Diego was the desire and intention to create a global health program within the Department of Medicine and within the Division of Infectious Diseases.
90+% of HIV is in the developing world. So if you really want to have a center for AIDS research that incorporates and encompasses all the aspects of HIV, that has to include global health.
I think working with people around the world is what we ought to be doing. It is something that helps us understand who we are. Our plan to go internationally was to have the grant applications written by people living in South Africa, Kenya, Zimbabwe, with the goals being to understand the disease as it was affecting them, with a research agenda that reflected where they lived, and with them as the owners of the scientific agenda. And that has been wildly successful.
I think he is somebody who always tells young physicians never ever give up on a patient. And that was something that I was really grateful for personally when my husband was the patient. My husband and I were on vacation in Egypt in November of 2015 when he fell seriously ill. And the first person I thought to call for help was Chip.
He got here to UC San Diego in December and got progressively worse with an organism that was highly resistant to the antibiotics that we had available. And physicians were saying it's time to give up and time to pull back. And about that time, a friend of Stephanie's pointed out a paper about bacteriophages in the laboratory being able to kill Acinetobacter, and she asked if we could use those to treat her husband. And I thought about it for about 2 seconds and said, well, why not? And the rest is kind of history.
What we ended up doing was treating him intravenously, which really was the first case of intravenous phage therapy being used to treat a systemic superbug infection in the United States.
Shortly after we began to administer the phages, we got control of his infection, and after several more complicated months in the hospital, he got home, and he's now an emeritus professor here at UC San Diego and continues to be a great friend.
That kind of equanimity and sense of purpose was brought to the COVID pandemic here on campus.
I remember getting a call from him. We had just received our first patients from Wuhan, China. It was February 5th. The state of emergency hadn't even been called, and Chip called and he said, this is going to be a big deal, and we have to get the campus ready for this. And through his leadership and his guidance of the chancellor and the cabinet and the health system, bringing everyone together to deliver what became, nationally recognized as the Return to Learn program.
I remember in the very beginning, he would be putting together on a daily basis decks with current infectious disease information, applying all of his infectious disease scholarship, his relationships with infectious disease scholars around the country, to the fact that we were going to deliver on our mission, that UC San Diego was going to ensure that our colleagues continued to work, our faculty could continue to teach and research, and our students could continue to learn.
Chip came with the idea that if we were going to reopen We needed a systematic way by which data could be used to inform decision making. As a relatively junior faculty member, I was frankly scared, and I wanted to help and I was excited about it, but I wasn't sure if I could do it. And CHIP has an amazing way of encouraging people and really mentoring people to bring out the best in them. And through that process, we ended up building out and developing our asymptomatic testing program, our wastewater monitoring program, and more generally, just a strategy by which we would collect and analyze data routinely and use those data-driven insights to actually make decisions and inform decisions on campus.
UC San Diego was really one of the early leaders in getting university-wide testing, and the success in getting UC San Diego right back to as close to normal as you possibly could get. That was a novel but groundbreaking program.
As a leader during the COVID-19 pandemic, CHIP led with a steady moral compass, always reminding us to kind of do the right thing. And he sprinkled that with a good sense of humor, which just made it such a joy to work with him.
The best part about Chip is he's hilarious. Very sly when he's making a joke, but I usually sit there on the Zoom cracking up.
When you mention Chip Schooley, you always talk about, how he could make you laugh. He's a serious guy and a serious investigator, but he's got an amazing sense of humor.
Chip is officially emeritus, but I think everybody would tell you that he's just as active as he was before. He still co-directs the Center for AIDS Research, and he also co-directs IPATH, the Center for Innovative Phage Applications and Therapeutics, and is involved in numerous different research grants to support that work.
It's really exciting to be in a place where this multidisciplinary expertise can come together to solve problems. So for me, it's been a really exciting period of time. All right. Did you record it and everything? Oh, of course. Yeah. Okay, good.